We are on our way to London, England. We're going to bring the whole family. We're doing a lot of touristy stuff, but also going to do some record shopping and check out some music landmarks. You ready for this?
I am.
Let's go.
I'm so ready, guys. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today is going to be amazing.
The gap between the train and the platform.
Well, we made it. Welcome to London, home to some of the coolest record stores on the planet, and I'm gonna show you a bunch of them in this video. But before we dive into the vinyl crates, I'm taking a quick detour. Right now, we're on a massive coach headed about 90 miles outside of the city to Stonehenge. This is a full-day tour. We're checking out Stonehenge, Windsor Castle, and the city of Bath. But in this segment, I quickly want to show you the big rocks. I've always wanted to visit Stonehenge, and the site is actually indirectly music-related. Check this out. Back in 1983, Black Sabbath designed a massive custom stage set for their Born Again tour. Due to a huge measurement mix-up, the props ended up being 3 times larger than intended, believe it or not. Then a year later, the legendary Spinal Tap mockumentary famously parodied this very fiasco. They built a miniature Stonehenge prop, a tiny 18-inch model instead of an 18-foot one. Anyway, this is an iconic site, and its age is mind-blowing. Construction on the monument began around 5,000 years ago. Stonehenge was amazing to see in real life. The circle was a bit smaller than I had imagined, but that always seems to be the case with these iconic places. By the way, on the way back, we had lunch and a pint at a 700-year-old pub in the village of Lacock, and that was pretty awesome. Now, let's hit the streets of London and dig for some records.
Channel 33, RPM.
So that was pretty awesome yesterday, Stonehenge. Today, we're off to Soho. We're gonna take the tube there. And we're gonna buy some records and see some music sites. Let's go. Forget the palaces and the castles, 33 years. We are in Soho, the birthplace of the swinging 60s and much more. This is where famous albums were recorded, where the Rolling Stones once rehearsed in a tiny club, where Rob Halford first bought his spikes and leathers, and where Jimi Hendrix played publicly for the last time. He jammed with Eric Burdon in War at Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club on September 16th, 1970. Jimi died 2 days later. The club is still around. Speaking of the Stones, we popped into the band-owned store. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest, but it was a fun place, and apparently Ron Wood had popped by just a week or two earlier. They sell records, CDs, and a bunch of merch. As you go down the stairs, you will see all the Stones albums framed on the wall. And downstairs there is a lot of artwork, I believe, which was created by Ronnie Wood himself. There are also more records, CDs, t-shirts, and other merch down here, and I gotta say, I dig the Rolling Stones tongue. It was a cool store, man, though not cheap. Next up, and just a stroll away, is Berwick Street. In the 1980s and 90s, this strip was lined with music stores, and luckily there are a few left. This is a must-visit street for any vinyl tourist. Our first stop was Sister Ray Records, located at 75 Berwick Street. Founded in 1989, the store was named after the Velvet Underground song Sister Ray. Sister Ray is also famously featured on the cover of Oasis's 1995 album What's the Story Morning Glory. Stay tuned at 33 Years. In part 2 of my London trip, I will talk more about famous album cover locations in real life over here in London. The main floor here, it's mostly CDs. You walk down to the lower level to get to the records. I always love checking out the Wow Wall, and this one was no exception. That's where the fun stuff is. They had some cool stuff there. I was eyeing a second UK pressing of Dark Side of the Moon. They do something interesting here. The flip bins are full of photocopied album jackets and no vinyl. These are all fakes. You Take it upstairs to the counter and they give you the real record, and that's where you can check it out and pay for it. First things first, I checked out the rock and metal section. They had a good selection of titles, but a lot of it was new vinyl. I had this dream that I would walk into these stores and find a bunch of hard-to-find vintage UK pressings, but that wasn't the case. Oh, good man, they did have a lot of unofficial pressings and radio broadcasts, which are difficult to find back home in Canada. I end up ordering a lot of that stuff from the UK through sites such as Juno Records. This caught my attention, the original Ozzy Osbourne See You on the Other Side box set, colored vinyl, autographed, all that, but it was selling for £1,600, so not cheap. I also noticed the Dio box set that was going for £275. I sold mine for less than half that a few months ago. Live and learn, I suppose. A lot of Sabbath stuff here, but it was mostly modern reissues. Directly across the street from Sister Ray is Reckless Records. Established in 1984, it holds the distinction of being Soho's longest standing record store. The store had a mix of new and vintage vinyl, though it was probably more new than vintage. Up front they had rock and pop records, and at the back they had more of the hip-hop and international music. I'll be honest, I was so busy checking out the store I forgot to shoot more video here, but I did buy a record. I'll show you all my pickups at the end of this episode. Let's keep walking. My wife Sherry and the kids were off shopping, so I had a couple hours on my own to explore. Next up, just a very short stroll away, was Sounds of the Universe at 7 Broadwick Street. Now, this building has its own cool history. It was once the Bricklayers Arms pub, where the Rolling Stones apparently rehearsed in the 1960s. I did not spend a ton of time in this store, and that's because their rock selection was pretty limited. That said, this place seems to have a decent selection of reggae, funk, soul, and African music. Just a few minutes away on foot was Third Man Records London, the UK outpost of Jack White's renowned label, and it's also a creative hub. Located at 1 Marshall Street, it opened up in September 2021. Now, the shop has 2 levels. The main floor carries Third Man vinyl pressings, gear, and clothing. And down a flight of stairs is the Blue Basement. There's a small stage here for live performances, and there's also more books and records to check out. I really dug the vibe of this place, but it was pretty quiet. There weren't a lot of customers. I assume it gets a lot busier on gig nights. I asked the clerk to recommend me some releases, and he was very helpful. As I said, I'll show you my pickups coming up towards the end of this video. Before I left Soho, I stopped into Rough Trade Vintage. I thought the selection of records was just okay, and honestly, the store reminded me a bit of Urban Outfitters. It felt a bit too clean and trendy for my liking, if that makes sense. But I will check out Rough Trade West coming up later in this video. Man, Soho was fun, and there were a ton of cool record stores to check out. But like in many large cities, I found the record prices to be a tad high. Actually, London in general is a pretty expensive city, but we knew that going in. Also, remember that prices you see include the sales tax. Back home in Canada, we pay sales tax on top of the posted price. So that's another big difference.
Channel 33 RPM.
We are now on day 5 of our trip. It's gone by super fast. Over the past few days, we did a bunch of family tourist stuff, driving over the Tower Bridge, checking out the Tower of London, Parliament, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, the Sky Garden, the Minecraft experience, and tons more. You get the idea. Oh, and Abbey Road too, of course. But I will talk much more about that in my next London video on famous album covers. As a side note, I love these polite reminders we saw throughout London. I've never seen anything like that before. Right now we're off to Portobello Market, and once again we're taking the tube. I would definitely recommend that anyone coming to London take advantage of the tube to get around. It goes everywhere, man, and it's relatively inexpensive. Portobello is one of London's most iconic and eclectic street markets. It's located along Portobello Road in Notting Hill, stretching for many blocks. The market actually dates back to the 19th century, originally serving as a fresh food market for the working class residents of Notting Hill. It reminded me of a giant flea market, which is a good thing, with food, crafts, antiques, and of course, records. Our first stop was Honest John's Records. Operating since 1974, this shop sells a multitude of genres on vinyl and CDs, specializing in jazz, blues, reggae, dance, soul, folk, and international music. It was fun to browse here and flip through some of the bins, for sure. Next up were the street vendors. I saw at least half a dozen vendors selling both vintage and new records. There were a ton of people shopping too. This market was very, very busy. We were there on a Saturday, so beware if you don't like crowds. There were some cool rarities up for grabs at some of the vendors, but they were priced accordingly. No one was giving anything away, but it was definitely a cool experience. Sherry and the kids also found some cool souvenirs and clothing in the area. Oh, and check this out. We saw a Poundland in Notting Hill. This is the UK equivalent to a dollar store back home. I gotta say though, this was a missed opportunity. They should have called it Pound Town. Am I right? Hey, you. I'm tongue-tied. How's the market?
It's good. Did you saw the record one on the side?
I did. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So much stuff here to see. My favorite stop in the Portobello area was Rough Trade West. Portobella. I always want to say Portobello. Hey, I ain't from around here. The first Rough Trade shop opened up back in 1976, reportedly taking its name from the Canadian new wave band Rough Trade. The shop spawned the Rough Trade record label in 1978, but the two separated a few years later. This location at 130 Talbot Road is much better than the Rough Trade vintage location I showed you in Soho. This one's a bit more gritty with an excellent selection of records. On the main floor, you have a bunch of genres, including rock, hip-hop, soul, funk, and R&B, plus soundtracks and staff picks. Downstairs, there's a whole other level with metal, punk, electronic, jazz, and more. There was a lot of stuff you'd expect at a UK record store: Sabbath, Bowie, Zeppelin, and the Beatles. It was mostly new records on the lower level, at least to the best of my recollection. And back upstairs, the shop also had a bin of records from National Album Day. That's an annual event launched in the UK in 2018 to celebrate and promote the art of the album. The day often has a theme to focus on a particular genre or aspect of album history. For example, the 2025 theme was rock, celebrating classic and contemporary rock albums. It was fun to dig through those releases.
I will say the weather changes quite a bit here. 1 second it's kind of warm, the next second it's rainy, and the next second it's cold. Anyway,
this Rough Trade location was great, man. It was fun to check out Portobello Market, everything they had here, and honestly everything on this trip. We felt right at home in London. The people treated us well, so polite and hospitable, and there was so much to see. We loved it.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Now let's head back home to Canada and I'll show you what I got. Alright, 33ers, I'm back in the music room, back in familiar territory. We were gone for a total of 8 days, most of which we spent in London with the one side trip to Stonehenge and all that. And I gotta say, we had an awesome time. In addition to all the stuff I showed you, we did a bunch of touristy stuff, had a lot of great family time. And to be honest with you, we ran out of time to do all the things that we wanted to do in England. So the countdown is on because I want to get back there again soon. I want to show you quickly what I picked up here. This first record I wasn't going to get. My mindset in going to England was to buy vintage pressings, nothing new, but temptation got the best of me when we were on the Oasis streets. I picked this up. What's the Story? Morning Glory, of course. And I did this too when we were in Minneapolis last year and went to Prince's favorite record store. I bought a copy of Purple Rain there as a memento. And then I bought this one in England. So when I see this, I will recall walking on that street. It's a very nice pressing. It's a 2 LP set and it's pretty cool. Trifold record sleeve. At Third Man Records, as I mentioned, I asked the clerk to recommend me some stuff, and he recommended me a few things, and I picked this one. This is a band out of Texas, believe it or not, called White Denim. This is live at Third Man, and on the Third Man website, they describe this band as being sun-baked and damaged southern rock. The guy at the store described it to me as kind of blues rock. The truth is kind of somewhere in between those. It's indie rock with a blues and southern rock influence. Pretty good album. Now my favorite pickups came at the last stop. This is one record I've been searching for a long time. Black Sabbath, Sabotage. I really wanted a Vertigo pressing. I did not come across that, but this is a mid-80s pressing out of Germany on the NEMS label. It sounds fantastic. I still have to swap out the inner sleeve, but I have listened to it already. There's the label, and this album cost me £20. Also at Rough Trade, I grabbed an original UK pressing of Alice Cooper's Hey Stupid. I do have this. I have an original CD, and I have a reissue on vinyl, but I really wanted to find an original pressing, and I finally did. This one cost me only £15, believe it or not. It's pretty nice. It sounds really good. Those are my pickups. If I had more time, I'm sure I would have found even more records. But as I said, this was a family vacation, and my trips to record stores were kind of side quests. Really fun side quests, but I do look forward to getting back to the UK sooner rather than later. All right, 33ers, that wraps up my London record store journey. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss part 2, where we check out some famous album cover locations in real life. Until next time, keep on spinning.